But let's get stuck in. We are 11 castaways at the start of this episode. We are 11 episodes in. We've got about 8 to go. And then we're about 26, 27 days in this episode. So obviously last week voted out, Jeffrey was gone, the puppet master. I'm not too sure that he was the puppet master. I don't know. I just thought his game, I think he would have liked to have been the puppet master. From what I was seeing, he wasn't this big game player. He voted out Nathan, but from all accounts and what I've think happened is that Nathan wanted to go home. So I'm not sure that he was this massive puppet master. Love the guy, love the player. I thought he was a great character on the show. And I think his vote out left Maba very, not in a good place. She lost basically, it didn't seem to ruffle many feathers, but with Maba it was emotional. And not only because Jeffrey was sort of her alliance member, but she was her buddy. And that moment when you lose your favorite person on the island, the person that you joke with, the person probably that you sleep next to, losing that human on the island it's dreadful, because all you can think of is how many more days you have to sit with another 10 people that you really don't even like, and you have to go through all these high highs and low lows, and there isn't anybody there that you like that you can share it with. So that moment alone is completely it's overwhelming to lose that human. So I understand fully Maba's reaction, her emotional reaction, but there didn't seem to be much fallout on the beach afterwards. We kind of just go straight into the episode. Everybody's joining. Hi, good evening. Thanks very much for coming in. And if you have any questions, we've already got a question. We'll get to that. I think for a group of people who this Spit Shaker 7, who seem to be dominating the votes and controlling the game, and they seem to have this clear-cut hit list. And what I found interesting was that not for the first time, but Sipe has strayed away from that without sort of a tribe consensus. She just kind of, this is what I want and this is what's going to happen, without thinking that there would be any consequences to that kind of language, that kind of dictation is what it looked like from the outside. So she, not for the first time, mentions that she wants Nicole gone, she wants Steffi gone, and that she wants to go to the end with Jacques and Rob. And she says it to Rob, and Rob's definitely in the this idea that he's going to go with Saola. His buddy Nathan is gone. That means that Sipe, Steffi, and Nicole are the 4 people that Rob wants to go to the end to. Now, we all know that. That's what we've been shown on the show. And I'm pretty sure that Rob wouldn't be hiding those kind of thoughts to anybody on the island. So it's interesting for me that Sipe is so comfortable just blurting out that he wants 2 of Rob's closest allies gone from the game, and thinking that there's going to be no fallout from that. So it's quite interesting to see that that plays out quite early on in the episode, and it's the second time that that's happened. It's the second time that conversation has had Rob going, hold on, you want to get rid of people who I'm close with, and his just understanding, okay, cool, this woman here is actually pulling all the strings. Whether she is the puppet master, I don't know. It's tough to call. It's one of those things where there's such a big majority, and I actually think that probably she has more influence than a lot of the people in that Spit Shaker 7. So whether she's the puppet master, I don't know. We'll see. Yes, sorry, I didn't save the video last week. I shared it before downloading it, so I wasn't able to upload it onto YouTube. Apologies, Laura, but I will definitely be conscious of doing it tonight. We start off the episode with some interesting drama that happens on the beach, and I am well aware of the drama that happens with the chickens. They still have 4 chickens, I think, and David, correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't seen them eat a chicken yet, so I think they still have 4. I haven't seen any eggs because Lord knows that I've always said that I've never seen people eat eggs on Survivor unless they've been given it at their final immunity, the final 2 breakfasts, final 3 breakfasts, or if they've won them. I've never seen a chicken lay an egg in any of the episodes of Survivor that I have watched. So we've not seen the chickens lay eggs, so they're not doing what people thought they were going to do, and they haven't eaten them yet, and we're down to like 11 people. So you would have thought, these chickens would have been taken out at some point. But either there's somebody on that island who doesn't want the chickens to be eaten, or they just haven't wanted to do it with so many people to share a chicken. Because let me tell you guys, a chicken that you kill, and these chickens, well, the ones we had in the Philippines, were pretty skinny chickens. That was not a KFC 21 bucket, let me tell you that. We all got a sniff of the chicken. You had to mix it with sif rice. We had sif vegetables at one time, and it was just not my ideal meal. So there's always drama when it comes to chickens. So Steffi, you can see in the episode, is hangry. A friend of mine will tell you that I'm not a great person when I'm hangry. So you see Steffi wanting to cook a chicken. And she sort of floats the idea that, hey guys, maybe this evening we should cook a chicken. But she doesn't want it to be her idea. So she's like, maybe we should cook. What do you guys think? Should we cook a chicken? I don't know, we should cook a chicken. And Sipe sort of seems to be the head of the household. Whether everybody agrees with that is unclear, but she definitely is the leader of the camp. And when Steffi sort of raises the idea of cooking that chicken, sort of goes to Mama and gets permission, but doesn't want it to be her idea and says, I'm not saying we should, I'm not saying we shouldn't, but we should definitely have a chicken. Dural, what do you think? Dural's like, yeah, I think we should have a chicken. She's like, it was Dural's idea. He said we should have a chicken, and kind of walks away. And the issue didn't really seem to be put to bed whether they would or wouldn't. And they come back to that after the challenge. So obviously that was picked up. And then they were like, oh, got to go to a challenge. And then that put a pin in it. So that was, for me, a really fun part of the episode, seeing Steffi, how hangry she is. And then followed by when they arrive at the challenge and her face when they see the reward. That was priceless for me. But what happens next for me is also one of the highlights of the episode, is when Jacques comes back from getting tree mail and reads the tree mail. Did any of you find that as hilarious as I did? He was like narrating some drama that was tree mail. I thought it was hilarious. I watched it twice. I sort of thought it was so good. In fact, the people that I was watching with, one of the young girls said to me, why is he reading it like that? And I'm like, I don't know, it's just Jacques. So that for me was pretty much the highlight of the episode, Jacques reading tree mail. And the tree mail for me was really interesting because last week, or a couple weeks ago, when they did the schoolyard pick, we didn't see the people actually making the decisions about who should be in their team. And I think there's quite a bit of politics around who you pick and who gets picked first, who gets picked last. I would have liked to have seen that. This week they take all of that out and they do a rock draw, which I think is quite cool. And the rock draw, for the first time, sends somebody to the Islands of Secret, but not only one person, sends 2 people. I really like that because it was a game of chance. Right now, Islands of Secrets up until now has been this almost like a draw card, so anybody could play it for somebody else. And you had seen a lot of times people sending Lau May members there or former Saola members there, but there was really strategic ideas around who to send to Islands of Secrets. So I like this randomness of the rock draw for Islands of Secrets. And we saw Quibus and Nicole draw rocks, and I actually really liked the 2 of them together. I thought Quibus and Nicole was a good combo, and from different parts of the game, right? Quibus is sort of this guy who doesn't seem to have this strong alliance. I know he's in the Spit Shaker 7 or whatever they're called, but he doesn't seem to be anywhere near the top. He doesn't seem to have any sort of pulling power within that alliance. So he's kind of a free agent, as it were. And he goes with Nicole, who's firmly in the former Solar members tribe. So it's, or the Amigos as they're called. So I thought that combination of the 2 of them was really interesting. And it plays out kind of like that as well. They kind of get on really well when they get there and they realize that they have to do a challenge. And it's a puzzle challenge. And I thought, that was an easy challenge. I'm not sure how long it took, but it seemed like a pretty quick one for them. And Quibus winning that and winning his first immunity necklace. So first of 4 in the episode, which is the first part of this episode that is like mind-blowing. That there are 4 immunity necklaces. They are amazing necklaces. I just want to get to some of the comments, if we've got any so far. Let's just check. No comment this week. Can Specsavers become a Survivor sponsor as everyone is blind to Rob's plans and crawl deep up his butthole? Rant over. Thanks, Marius. Yeah, I'm going to get to that point that you're making where nobody is seemingly seeing Rob for what he is. They're all drinking the Kool-Aid, which for me is fascinating. So what do we think? Jacques is going to do the next episode, especially because he wasn't included in the vote. Thanks, Taryn. I will get to that because I think strategically leaving Jacques out had its benefits. But we'll get there. What else we've got? The highlight was Meryl and Jeff slightly freaking out of tribal council. Yeah, we'll get to that as well. Kuba said the challenge, I beat your ass, said Loudmouth. Yeah, for me, I love that dynamic of Kuba's just dominating that challenge and being like, oh, this is a little bit difficult. Bah, 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 it's done. So it seems like a pretty straightforward puzzle. When I looked at it, I thought, hey, that's pretty easy. I would have probably been able to do it pretty quickly. But I'm not saying that I would have done it in 90 seconds. Anyway, we get to the teams go off to the 2 individuals going to Islands of Secrets go off, and the other team gets to go to the Islands of to the immunity challenge, which is a combined immunity challenge and reward challenge. Now, it's quite interesting because I don't think that they were all aware of what was happening. The people who were going to the challenge weren't aware that that Quibus and Nicole were going to be doing a duel on the island. One of my favorite parts actually was the part where you can see that Quibus knows about Survivor. He says in his part on Islands of Secrets, he says, I was expecting to do a duel when we all got sent to Islands of Secrets on day 1. And then he said it was really nice to come to the island and finally get to do that duel that he had thought was going to be day 1. The fact that he thought there might be this kind of duel tells me that he's a bigger Survivor fan than anybody sort of giving him credit for. I think at this point we know that Jacques is a big super fan. We know that Mike is a big fan. We knew that Jeffrey was a big fan. But the fact that Quibus is aware of Survivor and what is expected and things that might come up is really, I hadn't known that before. So that's quite a nice little snippet of information. So we saw the teams that were divided up. We had one of my favorite moments as well is when you see the teams as they were. So when they were doing the rock draw, you hadn't really figured out who was with what. But when you see the teams all laid out and Rob and Steffi, the physical challenge beasts, have Letitia next to them, I lolled hard with that one. I love Tani Letitia, and I love the fact that she's still there and nobody's looking at her. Guaranteed, Tani Letitia, top 5, 100%. Unless she has an injury, and I really wish that anybody is listening that does not happen, because she is gold for TV. And I don't think anybody dislikes Tani Letitia, and I really, really wanted to go top 5. So the teams were Rob, Steffi, and Letitia, Dante, Durao, and Jacques, and Sipe, Maba, and Mike. And I think that once those teams were drawn and they saw the challenge, I think it would have been very difficult to beat Dante's team with Jacques, the puzzle guy, with Dante, who's flat out really good at speed things. So that was a really cool draw for Dante, because Dante needed to win. Dante was at the top of the hit list, and when he won a pretty straightforward immunity challenge, go and collect pieces, a run, it's like that would have been a full out dying moment because it was long, it was muddy, jumping through stuff. Mike for me was the champion of this episode, just throwing himself through those obstacles. And the monkey bar returns. The goddamn monkey bar, guys. Me and the monkey bar, we're not friends. We are not in the same WhatsApp group. And so when I saw the monkey bar, I kind of glossed over it and was like, get out of my life, I don't want to see you again. Monkey bars. Anyway, pretty straightforward. Get the pieces, build your puzzle. It's kind of a Sudoku layout. You can't have any pictures and the colors repeated across, down, or in each quarter. Pretty straightforward. And as they were landing those pieces, they were kind of putting them where they needed to be. So it wasn't a massive equalizer, where some of the puzzles are often so difficult that the people who were lagging behind get to catch up and make up for lost time. But this one, pretty straightforward. And Dante, Jacques, and Durao has not been great at challenges, but they all pulled it out and smashed it really quickly when the puzzle had to be done. So the three of them, the last three winning immunity, and as I mentioned, Dante needed to win that, because had he not won that, it would have been a straightforward episode. We wouldn't have seen, I won't say scrambling, but the hard gameplay that unfolds on the beach when they get back. Again, they don't know that the others have had a duel, so they don't know that there's actually 4 necklaces. So 3 necklaces are a lot, but actually, surprise, surprise, there are 4. But that reward challenge, they go off, and oh my word, one of the most incredible scenes. I've never seen that much green in all of my life. That was one of the most incredible rewards to go on, I think. Not just because of the food, and again I keep saying this, but that the food that these guys are winning is so much more abundant than what we had. Like the hot dog challenge, for example, when Vanner and PK had 8 hot dogs. PK didn't win the challenge, he sat out, but they all got like 1 or 2 hot dogs. These guys, the challengers, seem to have got more budget behind them, because they are going and they're eating, man, the amount of garlic bread. I think they each had their own garlic bread, and it was just so much food. And that's what I like to see, that the people have so much to eat that they never go home hungry, because that will last them for like 3 or 4 days, that meal. And as Jacques mentions at the reward, he says that it's really good that these guys won, because people like Rob and Steffi don't need that stuff, or they don't want them to be that strong going into challenges. So I really liked who won. I really loved the reward. I thought it was incredible to go and see those 3 guys walk to the end of that cliff and that vista of that waterfall. Absolutely incredible. And it was kind of like overwhelming, I think, and to put myself where those guys were, as like playing Survivor and getting to live one of your biggest dreams, and then you get to go on a reward like that. Absolutely incredible. And you can't even, it's difficult to even put into words that if any of those 3 guys go home without winning, that will be one of the most incredible things that stays with them long after the game is finished. So well done to production, to just finding the most beautiful place to put 3 people and feed them spaghetti and wine and milkshakes and pasta, and oh my god, that reward was incredible. And on top of that, they all went home with some necklaces. You get a necklace, you get a necklace, you get a necklace. Incredible. And I think that opened up the game wide open. When the others get back to the beach, the chicken conversation picks up. And Steffi is now like, guys, we're going to do this. And you can see Sipe throughout this episode. And now I will take my hat off to the editing of this episode, because it's absolutely incredible. You see her just rub almost everybody up the wrong way, just with her dominance at camp life, the way that she speaks to people, and that moment where they talk about the food and are we going to kill a chicken, and I think it's cool because the other people went away, but they're going to come back and eat the chicken, but what are we going to do? We're going to do it or not? We're going to do it. And there comes a moment where Steffi says, I'm just going to open a coconut, and Sipe says to her basically flat out, no, don't. I'm not saying because we don't have enough coconuts, but then why are you saying it? I'm saying it because you need to conserve your energy. Okay. Nobody wants to eat a coconut, says Sipe. And then 4 minutes later, she's drinking a coconut. I thought the editing of that little bit for me was amazing. Showing Sipe's just unawareness that she is rubbing people up, and her social awareness of how people are receiving what she's saying. And I guess that we haven't been seeing it, but I think that's probably how she's been operating for a while on that island. And one of the things that I love about when they merged was they didn't have a shelter built. And people like Sipe and myself, I will include as well, where we think that we probably know better than a lot of people. I'm not saying that I do, but sometimes I think I do. I sometimes think logic, everybody sees the same thing. Like, why would you not do something this way? It's the smartest way to do it. What I realize is that logic is actually subjective. And that where you're coming from and where I'm coming from might make my logic seem completely different to yours. And I think that Sipe has a difficulty reading people, because those moments where she's like, why would you open a coconut? You're going to use all your energy and nobody wants to drink it or eat it. And 4 minutes later, somebody's filming her drinking a coconut. I just loved that dynamic, and it was sort of giving us a hint of where the episode is going, because there wasn't so much of a scramble on the island. And I don't want to call it a scramble. It was more of people slowly dripping Sipe's name. And it started with her mentioning Nicole and Steffi's name to Rob. And Rob saying, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Who is the puppet master that Nico was talking about? I think Nico actually was talking about Rob. But it actually is in Rob's best interest that Nico said those words, because he uses them a couple days later, and he sort of convinces everybody that the puppet master is actually Sipe. She's the one. Who's the one behind the strings? Who's calling the shots here? And I don't think that there's anybody who could deny that, because she is involved with every decision. Everybody goes to check with her when they want to make a decision. So Rob uses that, and then he slowly but surely starts to play everybody to say, this is the opportunity. We have to do it now. Whether Rob doing it now is too soon, we won't know. Because he does take one of his own out, and one of his loyal members. And he basically is doing to Sipe what he got annoyed with Sipe and what she wanted to do. So all of a sudden, Rob is doing exactly what Sipe was accused of doing, and that's taking out the people who they had this agreement that would go to Final Four. So I think that Rob might be in a bit of trouble now. He's lost one of his core four, and I think Durao for him is a good soldier to have, and Mike is completely in his pocket. I don't know about Jacques. I think Jacques now has been wanting to play, but he's known that the time hasn't been right. I'm going to get to your comments in a couple of minutes. Durao's wanted to obviously play with Rob, because that guaranteed him a spot. He was completely on the out and out. So now he is a soldier for Rob. And I think that now the game is opened up, and I think that 7 is going to be more likely to deal with people like Quibus and people like Dante and Maba. They are now free agents. And that core 7 has now been broken up. And if it wasn't for Sipe, they would have taken out Letitia. So it would have been broken up anyway. It's going to be super interesting to see how long Rob can hold on to this social play and playing people so well. I will say that one of the highlights for me in this episode and the season so far, and I haven't been a huge fan of Rob up until now. I don't know him from a bar of soap. I do like his casting. I thought he was really interesting, really intriguing, but he was one of those Samoa members who thought that stuff was owed to them. They walked around like they should win these challenges. They're going to dominate everybody, and this is how things are. They sort of spoke down to other people and thought that they deserved things that other people didn't, which is total bollocks in the game of Survivor. Whoever wins it, whoever wins the challenge, whoever gets stuff, that's who deserves it, because they played and they got lucky at certain times. So I haven't been a huge fan of Rob and the way he was playing. I thought he was quite manipulative and a bit of a mean girl. However, in this episode, the moment for me where I said if Rob wins R1 million now, I'm okay with that. And it came down to that moment where he was talking, when Nicole comes back to the beach and she doesn't know what has just gone down, and how this trickle of Sipe's name has just gone, and they're now going to target her, and all of a sudden this is a viable option. People are on board. The moment where they go, but we cannot send her home with an idol. Not because, we had to get the idol off of her, not because we think she's going to play it. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. She was never going to play the idol. She was that arrogant that she was not going anywhere. Nobody could touch her. She was going to win. And I think the editing of those bits in CPay doing confessionals was incredible. That moment where Rob says to Nicole, we have to get that half of the idol off of her. We can't send her home with one of these pieces of the idol because it's going to be a waste, because you're going to have half and she's going to have half at home at Ponderosa. That moment where he's trying to think of how they're going to do this. And then he's at the water well with CPay. And I'm glad he decided to do it by himself and not have Nicole there. Because he goes to CPay and subtly does the best play I've ever seen in Survivor, where he convinces her to give up her piece of the idol so that Rob can get Nicole's piece from her, so that they, CPay and Rob, can have a full idol. And he convinces CPay that it's her idea, that she came up with it. I died when that happened. I watched it twice. It was the subtlety of his language and not talking when he wanted to and letting CPay say what she needed to say was absolutely manipulation at its best. I thought that play there was worthy of R1 million. And if he wins R1 million, I'm happy to let him have it. After that play, after subtly making her believe that this was her idea, how smart of me, you should totally get Nicole's piece, I'll give you my piece, and you keep it, don't you give it to her. Smartest thing. And not because they thought she was going to play it, but because they needed it out of her hands, they didn't have a waste of half an idol. Now we're sitting with Rob with a full idol, Nicole with a full idol, Jacques has a full idol, and Dante has a fake idol. Also, not Dante, Durao, apologies. Durao also is playing some really smart moves. He's been a bit of a blunder up until now. He couldn't keep secrets. He couldn't strategically lie. He was a bit out of sorts. He seemed to have found his rhythm. And he plays really well in this episode. There's moments where Dante is throwing out Rob's name. And Dante is the only one who's not drinking the Rob Kool-Aid. He seems to be the only person there who is at any point saying Rob's name and he needs to go. Which is the smartest thing to do right now, would be completely to blindside Rob and send him home with an idol. How they're going to do that, I'm not sure. There are so many people up Rob's butt that trying to blindside that guy will be exceptionally difficult. Let me get to a couple of your comments so far. That waterfall scene was amazing. I wholeheartedly agree. Morris asked, from your past experience seeing it back on TV, do you think the current voted out survivors are looking at these episodes thinking, how did I not see this? How did I not see Rob is playing me? I actually think that that they watch. I thought about what CPay must have been going through watching that episode. Just the complete arrogance of her saying, this is a slam dunk, I'm totally going to win this now, this is the best move in Survivor. Must have been painful for her to watch. It's about as painful as me saying Tom will never win Survivor. Pretty much on the same par. Loudmouth says, seeing how quickly CPay's name got thrown out, in your experience, how much does the game change in 3 days? P.S. I think Rob and CPay were puppet masters. It was for the same goal until now. Yeah, listen, 1 day in Survivor is a lot, because as you saw at the start of the episode, Dante was in trouble. And the fact that there wasn't just one necklace, there were 3. That opened up the game completely, because all of a sudden there were 4 people, that can't be voted for. So all of a sudden they're like, well, even though the person that was on the top or the bottom of their hit list, whichever way you look at it, was Maba and Dante, Maba was still game. So, but CPay was confident enough that she controlled Maba, that she won't be a problem. We can take care of her later. And as you say, can a game change in 3 days? 100%. Because that's what happened with me. They were like, we can get rid of Jeanne later. And later becomes somebody else steps up and is a bigger threat. We'll get rid of Jeanne later. Same thing. 3 days later, we can get rid of Jeanne. She's never going to win anything. And then the next thing you look, I'm in a position of power and you can't get rid of me because I win. That's the problem that you have within 3 days of Survivor. It can change anything. And that's where you have to be able to be malleable. Your game has got to be so fluid that anything that Nico throws at you during the game, you can handle. That it's not that you thought about it, because some of these twists and turns are coming out of left field. You don't know that they're going to come out of 4 necklaces Where on God's green earth have they done that before? Maybe they have, and I'm just not remembering it. But you don't know that that's going to happen. You just have to be able to go, oh, snap. Now what? Now what? Problem solving. On your feet. Can we keep going? That's what you have to do, and that's what 3 days can change for you. Loved the Rob Idol moment. It was so good. And that's from Taryn, and Laura says Tani Letitia is also later. 100%. That's why I say Tani Letitia is going to sit final 5. 100%, no doubt in my mind. And I just hope that there's some kind of challenge where she has to nurse her way in an ER and somehow stitch a puppet together or something. I don't know, but I really hope that she's got one of those dark horses and she's going to come out guns blazing at some point and just dominate something and be like, he's sick. Now what? Now what? But I mean, she's just such a lovable human, and I love just how measured she is. And then in her confessional, she's quite spicy. I love a bit of spice. So Tani Letitia for me is just a great casting, a golden character, somebody you can love. Nobody seems to be looking at her. Nobody seems to be questioning her position in the game, and she's just sitting there slowly. Yep, nodding. Yep, and that is a strategy, guys. That is a strategy. Where am I now? Let me just get to a question here. Right, let's start from here. Do you think that now that Sipe is gone, the dynamic around camp will change? 100%. 100% that's going to change. I think if she was puppet master with Rob, you've removed one. Now Rob is focused. Again, I find the fact that nobody's looking at Rob as this huge target is fascinating. And maybe they are, and the edits haven't been showing that because it hasn't been moving the narrative forward. But Rob is a dynamite in challenges, and he's calling a lot of the shots. He's got guys in his pocket like bromance big. Like Mike would die for Rob. Durao is a soldier. Fascinating for me to watch. So I find it interesting. But now Rob's even more of a target, not just physical, as the puppet master. Because before he could have blamed it on Sipe. Sipe is no longer there. Again, I think maybe Rob's decision to get rid of Sipe an episode or two too early. We'll see the ramifications next week. Because what's going to happen with Jacques? They didn't tell Jacques about the plan. Because Jacques had an idol, and as I think Rob said, if we tell Jacques, he will 100% play his idol for Sipe. I'm not sure that he would have, but the fact that they kept him out the loop, that's going to piss him off. Even though he would know that he shouldn't, he would just lay low, do your thing, let it happen. But there's an opportunity now. There's things moving, and there are a number of parts now that are available to use. Quibus, Letitia, Jacques, Dante, Maba, that's 5. Things are moving. Huge issue for Rob, I think, going forward. So that's an interesting one for me. Do you think Rob is actually the puppet master? I think he's one of them. In that tight 7, he is definitely one of the people who has been calling the shots. So he's exposed himself a little bit. A question here that says, what happens to the castaways once they're voted out before the jury? They go home. I always tell people to keep a bit of common sense when it comes to Survivor. Somebody on Facebook this week was telling us how this game is fake. And my response to that was, in the American season, we've had over 40 seasons of Survivor. Do you not think that of the many people who have played Survivor over the 40 seasons would have said that this game is fake? In fact, you don't even know how difficult the game is because you're getting an edited version. I had to live that shit. It was the realest thing I ever gone through. Ever. So, with somebody being voted out, does it not make sense that production can't pay to keep them there? It's easier for them to send them home. They find a flight and they get them on a flight as soon as possible. They get them home. So, the people who are not on the jury, and in Samoa, I think it was very difficult to get them home. I think it was about 4 flights. Most expensive, but rather send somebody home than keep them there, put them up, feed them, whatever they have to do with them during the day. I don't know, I was never voted out. So, but they go home immediately as soon as they get a flight. So it might be a couple of days. They go for a briefing and stuff like that, but they're sent home quite soon after they're voted out. What else? We'll just get to these questions and then I'll move on. Do you think the puppets will eventually turn against Rob? If they don't, they are so dumb. Because, look, the timing is really difficult. Because we had everybody saying, why are you not looking at Vanna? Why are you not looking at Vanna? Why are you not looking at Vanna? Of course I was looking at Vanna, you dumb. Of course. The problem is timing on Survivor is so vital. You saw Nicole voting out Nathan. It might have been a dodgy decision. Getting rid of Nathan was terrible just before that merge. Nobody was expecting merge right then and there. It was a bad decision. They should have got out somebody who wouldn't have been aligned with them. Same thing with Rob. Was this decision too early? Will the people, not necessarily his puppets, turn on him? Because if they don't, they're dumb. But it's the other people who somehow now are growing in numbers. The people who were solid in the 7 but were looking to make a move. Those people are the ones he's got to worry about. And that number is growing. So it's going to be interesting. Somehow, somewhere they're going to turn on him. And Steffi's got to watch herself too. She's too much of a physical threat. She doesn't seem to be playing hugely strategic and strong. One of the moments that I had a bit of a panic was when she was talking to Tribal, and we'll get to Tribal in a few minutes. But that was the only time. But I don't see her strategically going out there and trying to manipulate and flip and do all these things. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Let me just get to a couple more questions. Why do you think Mike is playing with Rob? That's from David. I actually don't know. I think that Mike sees Rob as maybe a meat shield. Now, if you don't know Survivor lingo, a meat shield is somebody who's big and takes attention and wins things and is out there. He's charming or she's charming. Takes a lot of the focus off of you. So if I have somebody who's bigger, louder, stronger, fitter, more charming than me, I can stand behind them. Still, I'm a part of the game, still making decisions, still saying who should be voted out, who shouldn't be voted out. However, that person is taking the focus. I would like to believe that that is what Mike is doing. But there was something that I read in the Reddit theme that reminded me. There was a moment in the first couple of episodes when Mike and Jeffrey were talking about alliances, and Mike said, I don't mind being at the bottom of an alliance. And that for me has also stuck with me. And I don't know, we haven't really found out from Mike what his ideal final 3 or 4 is. We've heard it from a bunch of other people. I'm not sure that we've heard that from Mike. Now that Jeffrey's gone, he only has Maba there as one of his buddies in close alliances. But as we've seen, he flipped on Jeffrey very quickly. So that alliance that he has there is no longer a thing. So it will be very interesting to see if he's going to stick with Rob and why. Does he think that he'll be able to stand up next to Rob and beat him? Because I don't think he will be able to. Rob has been charming, he's won stuff, he's made big moves. It's going to be very difficult to stand up next to Rob and beat him at this point. So Mike's thinking and Mike's idea of staying with Rob, I actually can't tell you what he's thinking. For me, it's a strange decision on his part and something that he really should be looking at. Thanks for the question. Here's another question. Out of interest, do you get small appearance feet? No, you don't. I got nothing. I got a phone. Thanks, Marius, for bringing that up. My lack of winning anything. Loudmouth says, I wish Nicole would decide whether she wants to be a hero or villain. She shares the idol info with Quibus and then says, don't think bad of me. Says, I'm with Saula, followed by I choose you, Quibus. Look, this Nicole character for me is definitely a villain. She's the Ice Queen. That's what she's known as. Nicole doesn't want to be a villain. It's kind of like somebody who's gay but doesn't want to be gay. You know what I mean? There's this not that you don't own your narrative. I see people doing that, but I don't really want to do it. So I know that you have to play hard and I'm going to manipulate you, but I want to be a beauty queen. I want to be Mrs. South Africa. And I think I've raised this before when Nicole's decisions on the island are unfortunately going to come back and bite her in the ass. And if you follow on Instagram, it doesn't seem like any of this is bothering her at all. She's still going out there living her best life. And that's cool. I know that Van had struggled with some of the decisions that he made on the island as being a pastor in real life, and people would question him and say, why did you do that? Why did you lie? Why did you manipulate? Because you're playing a game that I've always wanted to play. It's a tough one. It's really tough. But I think that Nicole, nobody wants to, I mean, some people want to be a villain. Some people want. Jeff wanted to be a villain. But some people just naturally assume that role, but are uncomfortable wearing it. So, yeah, I don't know her. I can't answer for you for that one with Nicole. So, yeah, Laura says Nicole, eye roll. I agree. She frustrates me a little bit. However, she seems to be in a pretty comfortable position. Rob wants to take it to the final. Corbus wants to work with her. So even though she's this ice queen and the villain, everybody wants to work with her. So fascinating for me. The alliances are just incredible. It's drama full out. Let's get quickly to Tribal Council. Everybody... I love this Tribal Council because everybody was towing that line, bro. We're voting along lines and alliances, and there's a big alliance, and we're going to do this. And then Steffi speaks, and I'm like, it's the first time in the episode I thought, uh-oh. Like, there was the moment I thought, maybe Sipe isn't going home. When she spoke about the fruit. That just reminds me that Jacques spoke about the Serengeti and the animals. Oh my God, there were so many analogies in this Tribal Council. Nico must have been laughing on the inside quite hard, and people behind the scenes watching that must have been laughing quite hard, because Jacques' analogies were like, eh? And then he came back with another one. Eh? The zebra and the giraffe both have similar interests but different strengths. Wow, golden. But there was that moment where Steffi starts speaking about rotten apples. But Sipe was so confident and so solid in her belief that she is untouchable, that there was no chance that she was thinking, oh, Steffi's talking about me. Straight up, everybody votes for Sipe. Obviously, you see Jacques hasn't been included in this the vote because they thought he would play an idol. Where that leaves him now, I'm not sure. It's going to be very interesting to see where Jacques lands up now. Does he go along with Rob and whatever he wants, especially if it's voting out one of the 7? Or does he team up with the others and blindside somebody and send them home? Remember, there are 3 idols in play right now. It's going to take a mammoth task to blindside somebody without them knowing it. I think one of the biggest things in this episode was Sipe went home blindsided. But she was so confident that nobody would be voting her out and that she became on lock. I think Rob is a little bit more aware of the fact that people see him as a threat. It's going to be very interesting the next couple of episodes. Do they go back to their alliances? Do they sort of branch out and start targeting within the 7? Because those fringe players are going to hope for that. If Dante loses, he's going to be in trouble. Somebody, Laura says, I really hope Dante get to the others to vote Rob out. Hopefully it won't turn bad on him just yet. Yeah, if Dante doesn't win immunity next challenge, he's going to be in a very difficult position. He's going to be scrambling from the bottom. As he mentioned in this episode, people were coming to him to play because he had the comfort of the idol. That's very much what happens. That immunity necklace around your neck gives you some sort of, I mean, obviously it gives you safety, but people start to want to play with you then now, which is interesting because you feel like, oh, now you want to play with me because I got some bling. It's a tough one to deal with. So Dante's position in the game is a very interesting one for me. So is Mabaz. Is she going to be taken out now that Sipe is gone? Tani Letitia, is she just going to stay there and people are going to take her along? It'll be interesting to see. Laura says Rob smirked when Sipe is voted out. He really looked like he felt like the king. Yeah, Rob is not shy in going forward. He is definitely playing, and he's playing hard. It's going to be interesting to see how long it can go, because people are drinking the Rob Kool-Aid, bro. Especially the men. All of them. I really wanted to root for a woman this season. But all my favorites have gone. Who are you rooting for? Just like straight up, quickly drop it in the comments now. Who are you rooting for? I'm rooting for Mike. He's my like, if he wins, I'll be like, yes. But who are you rooting for at the moment? Just quickly drop it in the comments. Because I'm struggling to pick. There's difference. There's like who I want to win and who I think will win. And I don't know who I think will win. I would like Mike to win. That is... Somebody says Jacques. I would like Jacques to go all the way. I don't want him to win because that'll be so frustrating for me, because I'm pretty sure he told me 7 ways that I should have won Survivor and I didn't. So, but if he does win, I won't be that disappointed. Somebody says Dante. Jacques comes up again. Mike is up. Yeah. So it's all the men, unfortunately. I kind of like Mike and Quibus too. I also like Quibus. I wouldn't mind if Quibus wins. My money, however, is on Mike. I love Dante, but he's not going far. Yeah, his social game is, not great. I don't think Dante's going to go very far. I don't know. We'll see. If he goes on a winning streak, he's doing pretty well. Yeah, and Quibus. Let's keep Quibus around for as long as we can, because he's just so bloody entertaining. His one-liners should be made into an actual tweet-like thread, because they're so great. Guys, I'm going to wrap it up. We've been going for too long. I promise to save this and upload it onto YouTube if you missed the beginning. Thank you so much for all the questions and comments. I hope I got to everybody. But enjoy Thursday's episode. All in on Letitia. Yes, imagine Letitia wins Survivor, guys. Amazing. I would love that. And I would also get up and somehow sneak a vote in for Letitia. If she were final 3... that would be amazing. But Tani Letitia is definitely in my cheering corner. So yes, for that. Thank you, everybody. We'll chat again on Sunday. I'll let you know the time. Just keep an eye on my stories, and we will chat through there. If there's anything I missed, please drop me a message. Get hold of me on Instagram. If you could please do me a favor and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Taryn says Jeff and Merrills and Jeff face a tribal council. That jury is lit. They have the best seats in the house. I just really hope, and I have an issue with the jury being let to do whatever they want and say whatever they want and be as noisy as they want. One of my decisions that cost me R1 million was based on what I was getting from the jury. I really wish production had calmed them down, and their hate and their vitriol towards Tom was just on display every time he opened his mouth. And it's one of the things that I based my decisions on. It's one of the reasons I didn't go that hard at Tribal Council, because I thought there's no way these people who despise him are going to vote for him. So I really hope that they try and tone that down so that that is not an influence on your decisions that you make coming to the end of the game. But I did enjoy their faces when CPay was blindsided. I think they've got a lot more action coming their way. But thanks very much, everybody. Please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. I can't really do anything with it until I have 1,000 followers. YouTube. But thanks very much. We'll chat again next Sunday. Enjoy the episode on Mnet Thursday 101 at 7 o'clock. And if you want to drop me messages throughout it, do that. Questions, comments, as it's happening, just drop them in my inbox. Otherwise, we'll chat again on Sunday. Bye!